Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. First Friday of the new year, 2025. Perfect start of a new year. Just make sure you're not watching the news. Today I had such a great day. I watched, when I got up, my YouTube channels that I like to follow. And my buddy Ken, lots of trains. He did his lantern montage of everybody who lit up lanterns from around the world. What a fantastic video. I think you should check it out. He did a great job of getting everybody together to display their lanterns for the new year, so that was fun. Then I saw George, my buddy George from You Wanna Watch. He put out a challenge, first challenge of the new year. And what a great challenge. And it's basically just cleaning up something that's brass, making something brass shine. Fantastic challenge that everybody can get in on. So I'll have a link to the description, to his video on where to send your before and after of something brass. Outstanding challenge. Looking forward to that. Then, of course, every day I start my day off with a vintage Western from the 50s, 60s, or whatever. And I've been recently watching a lot of Bonanza. It varies, it varies from Lawman to the Rifleman to Bonanza to Big Valley. It varies. Today, we got a couple things to start off with. We're just going to mosh it up. But I have something that I wanted to start the show with because a lot of you enjoyed that hacksaw we did the other day. Let's get started with that right away. By the way, my buddy Terry Benko just uploaded a fantastic video on an early Edison motor that he refurbished. You got to see it. Wonderful video, wonderful restoration on a beautiful and rare motor. So go check out Terry's video on that. I'll have a link in the description to that. But first I want to start off with, we did this hacksaw refurbished just last week. A lot of people enjoyed this. A lot of people like hacksaws for some reason. There's something about a hacksaw that a lot of people enjoy, maybe because it's one of the early tools we were able to use that our father would let us use. This here was a nice little hacksaw because it's a low profile hacksaw. My first hacksaw was my dad had this hacksaw, and I can't tell you literally how many hours I have on this hacksaw. Many hours, and it was a Craftsman adjustable. But the hacksaw I use now most of the time is a high tension style hacksaw, which is this one here, a Lennox. And any of these high tension, you want a hacksaw that's very stout because you got to put a lot of tension on the blade for it to work well. So I use this. I enjoy it. The only thing I'm not crazy about, this rubber handle, I'm telling you, gets so dirty. You use it 2 times and it looks like this, and you really got to, so I'm not crazy about that. Whereas if it had a phenolic handle like this thing, stays fairly clean. The only thing is it'll give you calluses, but calluses are what being a man is all about, right? So this one here I use, but I'll show you another hacksaw that I know a lot of you like. I did it restored a couple times. This one here I use quite a bit because I just love it. And this is a double hacksaw. Now I restored one of these. This is a second one I have, but what I like about this here, and this is made by Dryer Brothers. You can see here, Dryer Brothers made these. You don't see these come up on eBay too much, but when they do, if you can get one inexpensively, they're good. And what I do is I put 2 blades on here, and that's why this hacksaw is so nice. First of all, it's got a lovely handle, okay? It's very comfortable. This here, it gives you a good tension just by screwing this. There's 2 cams here, and you could tension the blades. On this side, I have a 32 teeth per inch, very fine. And on this side, I have a 24 teeth per inch. So this I keep over there and I use, but I have different saws for different, I don't want to have to change blades, so I just get another hacksaw and put a different blade in. Let's talk about blades for a second real quick. Now, you could buy an assortment of blades like this one here. And this one's high-speed steel, bimetal. And you can see here, it's has 18 teeth per inch, you get 3 blades. 24 teeth per inch, you get 3 blades. Or 32 teeth per inch, you get 4 blades. Now, the idea of teeth per inch, and I'm going to show you the difference here when you look here. If you look very closely at these blades, you can see obviously this is much more coarse, okay? And these are flipped around. Let me turn them so they're all facing the same way. Okay, closest to us on the bottom here, we have 18 teeth per inch. In the middle, we have the 24, and at the end, we have the 32. And you can see the difference in the blades and the coarseness of the blades. You can see how fine they are on top, and the blades near the bottom are very coarse, well, somewhat coarse. 18 is still not super coarse. They do have 14 teeth per inch and things like that, but and the difference is you have to be very careful, because when you're cutting through some metal, in order not to damage the teeth, you want a minimum of 3 teeth resting on the piece. So the thinner the material that you're cutting, the thinner the blade that you want. Because if you try and cut something that is thin with a coarse blade, you're going to shear off the teeth, and that happens quite often with hacksaw blades. Now, where a lot of damage occurs to hacksaw blades a lot of times is with hollow stock, and I'll give you an example. You see, this is solid stock, okay? Whether this is aluminum, but whether it was steel, brass, or whatever, when you're cutting through this, I know it's a lot of material that you're removing because it's so thick, but your blades are resting on a long surface here as it gets through, and it's just chipping little bits of material off. Whereas when you cut a piece of tubing like this gets dangerous, because as you're starting to cut through, now you only have these 2 edges, and you can see here when the blade starts ripping through the edges, that's when it could do damage, because there's only 1 tooth laying on that, or maybe 2 teeth at most laying on the edge, and that's where you do the damage, a lot of damage to your hacksaw blade. So tubing is very difficult. You got to be careful and not go super hard, because that will damage your blade more than solid stock. So when it comes time, if you want to cut a piece of L bracket like this, angle iron, you are better, if you want to save your blade, you're better off cutting like this. Now, even though it's going to take a little bit longer, it's a lot easier to cut like this, but by the time you get down, you're going to damage your blade. Whereas if you cut like this, it might take a little bit longer, but you'll save your blade by cutting this way and then this way, rather than cutting this way and this way. Do you know what I mean? Because again, you don't have a lot of teeth resting, or you need a very fine blade to cut through something like this, like a 32 tooth per inch for something like this. Okay, next up, I tend to use a lot of heat shrink tubing. I like it. It comes in handy, but some of the stuff that's being imported, it's not very durable, okay? It shrinks down, but you know, sometimes it'll split. It depends on what you're using it for. So it all has to have the thickness of the wall thickness, it's called. So if you look at this here, it's got a very thin wall thickness, you know? And again, these are great because it comes with a ton of, for the money, you get a ton of stuff. It's good for certain applications, but not all. A real nice heat shrink tubing is this stuff here, and this comes in rolls. You can see here, and when it says it's marine grade, adhesive lined, has a 3-to-1 ratio. That means it'll shrink down three sizes. Now, you can see the wool is much thicker on here compared to that. And what's nice about this, you buy it in different sizes, it's got like a hot melt glue in there. So once this shrinks down, it's not going to slide. So it's a real nice, and it comes in a big roll. And I wanted to demonstrate this because remember what I told you about. One thing you should have in the shop is a heat gun. Now, this is a Harbor Freight one, inexpensive, but they're great. You know, I tell you, the cheap ones, the expensive ones, they all do the same thing. They all get hot. And I'll tell you, I've had this for years, knock on wood. I've never had a problem with it, never broke, never, you know. So I like them. The only thing is that I wish this had, and I've seen some heat guns come with kits that they have accessories you can push on the front. And one of those accessories is for heat shrink tubing, because if you know as well as I do, it seems like every time you want to hit heat shrink tubing, if there's something behind it, that's going to get damaged by the heat. So that little accessory that clips on the front of here and has a cup directs the heat, so it's only and it also does the back of the heat shrink. So I don't have one of those. I said, you know what, I'm going to try and make one for this gun today. Let's see if we can do that. Now, anytime you're prototyping something, the best thing to use is those cardboard folders, you know, that you see for file cabinets. They really are excellent for this. But I just have a little bit thick paper. I got this from the bus company. On Thanksgiving Day, they threw out a case of this right after the Thanksgiving, and this goes back. Here we go. Remove 11/23/2012. So you can see I took the case from the garbage that was unused because it was after the date. So here we go. This is what I want to make, and you can see what I did here. I'm just drawing this out, and basically I want this to fit. This is the dryer, the tip of the dryer. Now, if you look at the tip of the dryer here, this cone here is only about 5/1000ths of an inch wider here than it is here. So we can have something that'll slip on with a seam. And if I use a thick enough tin, it'll have enough body that it will, just the springiness of the tin will help me, you know, help secure it on there without blowing it off. You know, it has to be strong enough that it holds on, but light enough that it's not too hard to get on and off. And this is basically what we'll cut out. Bend this over here so it looks like this, and then bend this up so that we have, so we'll give it a shot. I've never used one before. I'm sure they're well, you know, easily made with the right materials. I'm gonna see what I have around the shop that we can make something. Okay, now a good stainless steel would be really nice for this kind of project, but what we have here is, we'll see what we're going to work with. The best time, and whenever you're prototyping, if you want to get an even cut out of something, it's better just to fold it in half and cut it this way. This way you have even on both sides. So this is basically a design that I have, and what this will do, you'll see it'll wrap around here like this, okay? And then we'll bend this up here, and that'll give us what we want. You don't want too much shoulder here because you don't want to restrict any airflow. You just want to have it so that it kind of, you know, goes around the back of it. You know, we could deal with that a little bit later. But this is the first prototype here, and we'll cut it out. Now, my only fear is that it'll blow this off, you know, if it's not tight enough. So I might have to put something over, maybe something over the top, maybe a spring or something. We'll see what we can do. Right now, first thing we're going to do is cut this out of a piece of scrap metal that I might have laying around here. If I do have that problem with it blowing off, I can always make one with two tabs at the end like this, and then pass a bolt through it that'll squeeze it and hold it on. But I would like something that slips on, and, you know, we'll try it first. Okay, here's an old piece of tin that I found from somewhere. We just roughed out, we really roughed out. So now what you do, just using your tin shears, we're going to cut a quick piece off here. You don't want to waste too much. So you see here, I'm using the big tin shears. Just get the rough cutout, and then you could go with the smaller tin shears and then refine it. But, you know, just get rid of the big pieces like this. And don't throw this away. You might need you might have a small project to do, and this might come in handy. So I don't even throw those away. But right now what we're doing is we're just going to do this, and then we'll trace that onto here and cut it out with the smaller tin shears. Okay, this isn't really very stout material, so what I did is I bent a little lip on one side, a little lip on the other, and I'm going to interlock them. You see how those two lips will interlock, and then I will bang it around to round it over, just a piece of pipe. Okay, there we go. What do you think of that? You can see the seam we made here by joining those two edges I was talking about, and you can see what it looks like. And here we go. We just smooth out the edges on the belt sander. So let me show you how this works now. You push this over here, and now watch this. Because there's that 5/1000th of an inch increase. Watch it. It fits on there nice and snug. Look at that. That's not going anywhere. Let me show you how this works now with the heat shrink tubing and why this is such a great accessory for a heat gun. Okay, here I cut a little piece of this heat shrink, the one with the glue in it, and I'm just passing it over the piece of ended wire here, just like that. And I'm going to shrink it down using the new accessory we made. There you can see how nice that came on here. I'll give it a second to cool and then we'll try and pull it off. Another nice feature about this having the hot melt glue inside of it is if you did have a terminal end like this, you could take that little end, pinch it closed, and it makes a seal on there that nothing will get in there. Let's try and pull it off now. It's still warm but not hot. Let's see. There we go. Look at that. That is not coming off. This is good stuff. So if you're looking for some heat shrink tubing that's a little bit better than that the Chinese stuff we've been buying, I'm sure this is probably made in China too, but different. It's a little bit better. This is the stuff to get. What do you think? One thing nice about this being thin too is it cools very quickly, and so you can pull it off the heat gun and use it for something else. So good accessory. Try and get one of these when you buy your gun new. Try and look for kits that have this in. Okay, so in closing, that went quick, huh? And remember the 3 links I have in the description. One for Ken's lanterns, one for George's Kant Challenge, that's for January, and also Terry's electric motor refurb. So all 3, there's no reason for you to have to watch mainstream media. There's so much great stuff on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Take care now. Bye-bye.